welcome back to another exciting episode of The Stash Report from The Stash Project. Today's the 14th of January, 2019, and we have just a show for you. Obviously, things are just starting to crank back up over in Japan, although irony, they had another holiday today. So we don't really have much there. There's only one kit released in Japan in January. Try to say that 3 times fast. And then we have a couple of things from the domestic side from round 2 that are out, finishing up the last of the December kits, as well as a couple of the January kits. So with that, they've actually added 2 more kits to the January release schedule from AMT. So we'll cover those, and then we have the Hasegawa releases for March. So the 2 kits that have been added to the January release schedule at round 2, both are AMT kits. One is going to be the 1969 Plymouth GTX convertible. Now this will have basically all the parts that it's always had in it. A couple different sets of wheels, a couple different sets of intakes. They are adding Redline tires to it. Obviously, didn't have that back in the ye olden days before pad printed tires became all the rage at round 2. I'm not sure this kit. I'd have to go look. Somebody may know off the top of their head better than I would, but I'm not sure that this kit has been reissued under the round 2 ownership, which would be going back into 2008. The Super Bees have, the Roadrunner has, but I don't think that the GTX convertible has been. So that's coming back out, and then the other kit is going to be the reissue of the 1934 Ford pickup truck in an AMT boxing for the first time in about a gajillion years. For anybody who doesn't know the story and history behind it, I'm not going to tell you the whole in gory detail version, but apparently when AMT had this tooling, they sent it out someplace to have some work done to it, or it was just the place where the tooling was being run to produce the kits. There's arguments about how the tooling, left AMT's possession per se. But whatever the case may be, allegedly a bill wasn't paid. Lindbergh realized that the tooling was sitting there at this facility and then paid to basically pay the bill and take control of the tooling, and that's how the 1934 Ford pickup truck wound up at Lindbergh, reissued so many times during the 90s and 2000s, both under the RPM Testers ownership and then the J. Lloyd ownership as well. So obviously when round 2 purchased the Lindbergh and what was left of Lindbergh back a few years ago, they got their tooling back magically. So they've restored or retooled several of the pieces from the original kit. I believe there are 2 or 3 things from the original first issue that are still not included with this, from what I understand. I personally have not seen a first issue of it, so I'm going to go on the assumption that people who have one can look at the parts layout of the new one and the parts layout of the old one and tell the difference. But this is going to be the first time that this kit has been released in this format since 1962. And as I've told you guys a number of times, that when round 2 does things where they reissue old kits, this is what I think their forte is. Not so much that this was a missing tool or a tool that they didn't know existed, like the Pacemaker Peterbilt or the K9 Kenworth or things like that. But when they reissue something that hasn't been released, and hey, it hasn't been released from AMT since the 1970s, I think. 1962. So there. Look how old that is. Ancient. But so I know a lot of people will be very excited to be able to have that kit back in its AMT format. The box art looks very much like the original issue box art. So that's I know that for certain subset of people that'll be very, very exciting. I had one. I want to say it was first issue Lindbergh RPM Testers version that was molded in a shiny tan. For some reason, back in that point in the mid 1990s, Lindbergh released everything in high gloss plastic. They polished the out of their molds over there, including molds that they had purchased on the side of the road, so to speak. So I know a lot of people didn't like the Lindbergh kits because they were missing some of the original parts, and because they were molded in high gloss colors that were just odd. Tan, yellow, red, all these weird colors that kit was molded in. I don't necessarily think I would go pick another one up. I know I took the tan one. One of those kits I took down and looked at several times and ended up selling or trading. I can't remember what I did with it necessarily in terms of disposition, but anyway, I don't have mine anymore, so I don't necessarily know that I go buy another one either. But I know for having it molded in like white, it'll be exciting for a lot of people. Expect to see a lot of Lindbergh 34 Fords come on the market in eBay. So over at Hasegawa, the March releases are a little disappointing only because based on the information that we saw in that one little picture from I'm trying to remember what town in Japan the little show is in. I think it's Osaka. There was supposed to be a Toyota Starlet coming out this month, a brand new tool. However, that does not seem to have occurred. So that's just Hasegawa. They've been really never good about being like, hey, this new kit's coming in this time, and actually having it show up then. It's a little bit different for the Shizuoka Hobby Show and for Tokyo, where they can, or the All Japan, if you will, where they can have everything prepped and ready to go for the show, so they can be like, hey, this is going to come out in July, and it actually will. The ones that they sort of fill in during the other times of the year, sometimes they come out on time, sometimes they don't. So, I mean, it's no big loss. It'll come out next month or whatever. But that leaves Hasegawa with only 3 automotive releases for the month of March. That is not necessarily surprising, guys, by the way. Just a couple of people I was talking to was like, I usually have 5-6 kits a month. You gotta remember that February is gonna be Chinese New Year's. A lot of this tooling, including Japanese tooling, obviously is running in China. So there will be, the week plus time where all of the factories in China will be shut down. And so we really don't see a whole heck of a lot of much of anything really coming out in March because of the fact that the factories will be shut down in February. So those 3 kits are the 1/24th scale. Yes, we're back to this again. Tyrrell 021 F1 car from the 1993 season. Specifically, this kit will be the 1993 Japanese Grand Prix. And the 1/24 scale, let me make sure I got the look on here. It's the Speedshine Dunlap Lola T9050 Formula 3000 car. I believe that is the 1990 season. And then a reissue of another one of the Type blah 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 kits from them. They're going to be releasing the 1966 Type I, which is a 1966 Chevrolet Impala. So expect the same sort of kit you got out of the Cadillac, out of the Thunderbird, where it is a reverse engineered, if you will, American body. Probably would be an MPC kit, I want to say. Or maybe AMT. I'm not sure who made the annual back then. There's not a direct copy. They never had the tooling, but they basically, made copies of the kit. Originally, these kits were not made by Hasegawa. They were made by another company that were done as bodies for slot cars. And then eventually Hasegawa wound up with the tooling from them somehow, and they created those sort of generic chassis and generic interiors. So same thing here. It's a very basic kit, 20-30 pieces. But this one is going to come with a resin figure. They're calling it a blonde figure. Of course, it'll just mold it in some sort of tannish pink color, like all their other resin figures have been. So making it blonde or brunette or redhead is up to you. And looks like it's... I really didn't pay enough attention. Plus, there's no real picture of it. It's just an outline. It's legitimately it looks like a coupon, like how a coupon has the little dotted line around the outside of it. That's what it is. It is a pink outline, coupon outline, sitting on the hood of the Impala. So there's no actual representation of what this casting is going to look like to know if it's going to be clothed or bikinied or, well, it's going to be naked, but what amount of clothing it's going to have on it, and what the face is going to look like. Is going to be a Japanese type of face? Is going to be a Western face? So that remains to be seen, but if you're trying to now collect all of the Hasegawa American Series kits, or the 66 series as it was known, I believe there are 2 more after this. So I would expect to probably see them all in 2019, to be perfectly honest with you. Not particularly fantastic kits, but again, if you're trying to look to do a collection of them, you know, now you got another one coming in March. So that takes us to kit releases. Again, most of the stuff is going to be domestic things. Matter of fact, we're going to cover the Japanese kit first, just to get it out of the way, because I'm not sure how many people really care in the first place. Not so much because it's Japanese, but just because of what the subject matter is. So it is this, the Hasegawa Plus Lola T9050 Formula 3000 car. This vehicle, based on looking at images of the real car online, appears to have all of the decals. Plus, it was a stationary manufacturer. Formula 3000, obviously not Formula 1, so you're getting some more localized sponsorships, because these kits are focused on the Japanese Formula 3000 drivers and whatnot. So I believe this car won a race. I believe it won the next to the last race of the Formula 3000 series. So it is a winning car. Much like all of the other Formula 3000 cars, there's been a couple of Lola T9050s now. It is a full detail kit, somewhat simplified. They're really small, because you gotta remember, though, like a 1/20 scale modern, like 90s to current F1 cars, really aren't that particularly big to begin with. They're about the size of a 124 scale car, really. When you make them 124 scale, they're even smaller. But again, this is sort of something similar to them doing the 66 kits, where even if you did, well, I don't see the point of buying these 124 scale F1 cars and Formula 3000 cars. You're not going to build them, because it's kind of a weird thing to collect, and I really don't know what the resale value would be, because clearly now you're going to get all of these kits reissued at this point, including, I believe, the Speedline one, I think, or the Speed Time one, is a new livery for it, because I can't find a picture of the old one, if there was one made back in the mid-1990s, of like, hey, I have all these kits, but what value do they hold if they're going to just reissue them every like 15 years? So I would assume that if you're going to collect the Formula 3000 cars and the Formula 1 cars, you're probably looking to build them. And in that case, it'd be cool to have it's just another kit for the collection. But it is what it is. So that's all I have to say about that. There really isn't much, what else can you really say about them, other than the fact that it's very cool that I guess they sold well enough, and when they originally rolled the 124 scale F1 cars back out, and then they stuck their foot into the Formula 3000 cars, that the sales have been, have exceeded expectations to the point where the entire series is now being reproduced. So it's always just fun to see that kind of thing come back out and be available again. So that'll take us to the round 2, folks. And like I said, 2 of these kits will be December, finaling out December, and then the other 3 are January releases that have already hit the shelves. So the 2 December kits, there's one AMT, one MPC. The AMT kit is this, the Tip Top Shop Repair and Maintenance diorama pieces. Now, I know when we talked about the first one of the Garage Accessory Series kits, I said there wasn't a figure in it. I was wildly incorrect. There is a figure in it. This one has 2 figures in it. It has a standing figure and a kneeling figure. The kneeling figure, I don't believe, has to have the spray gun in his hand, but you get basically what you're seeing here, obviously, other than the 72 Nova kit again. So you're going to get the sort of tool board, the tool bench with the pegboard, vise, an engine stand, a compressor, oil cans, the phone, the vending machine, floor jacks and jack stands. And this was originally a painting series when it was done by Aurora. These parts are not necessarily exactly the same as the Aurora parts were packaged, because these 2 figures with the painting stuff were part of the painting shop, which had the little sawhorses that came out in the last kit, which aren't sawhorses, they're actually paint stands. So again, it's very period, 1960s kind of shop. So if you're looking for that, that's always an option. There's no cabling, wiring, hoses, or anything in this, so your guy's just got a paint can that he's magically spraying on the car. Obviously, it's not really probably realistic for them to include that, but just something to keep in mind, because it just kind of looks silly otherwise. And yeah, so there's another pair of the garage. So the next thing that's going to come out in this series is going to be a lift. Maybe see if it's going to be functional like the Fujimi one is or not. But that is probably a few months away right now, because so far I've seen the beginning of the February stuff, and it's not in the February stuff yet. So the other kit that was a December kit is this, the MPC Rat Trap Vega. So this is the little asphalt modified, but has dirt tires, because there's some weird thing. AMT made dirt modifieds with slicks, and MPC made asphalt modifieds with dirt tires, and ne'er the two shall ever meet. So there is a Pinto modified that's going to be coming out of AMT pretty soon. So perhaps you could swap the tires back between the two if you wanted to buy both kits. But it's I guess, what I understand, a reasonably accurate representation of a modified of this period, in terms of it being based on sort of a real car and real parts, if you will, as far as the engine and stuff like that go. How real it is probably up for debate. Probably a lot of people would like to have that Vega back without it being chopped apart in a factory stock format. But it sort of is what it is in that sense. If you're interested, again, back out again. The December kits, sticking with MPC, there was one MPC kit. It is this, the 32 Ford Sedan Delivery Coca-Cola tie-in. So this has a number of Coca-Cola decals, if you will. I won't say liveries, but logos. There's the word I'm looking for. As far as like a 1930s and kind of 1940s. This is the old Switchers kit. So it is more of a street rod sedan delivery than it is anything factory stock. So it's just a reissue of the Switchers kit with the Coca-Cola decals included. And then on the AMT side of things, you have this, which is the Chevrolet police van. This has all of the police parts put back into it. A couple of obviously domes, the bumper, there's a prisoner bench inside, things like that. They're touting the NYPD decals for it, which are not correct for the van, nor do they use Chevy vans in that era, but, do you really care, is I guess the question you need to ask yourself. This is a 3-in-1. You can build it as the regular police van, as the fire van, or as just a stock van, which really I know is a 3-in-1, but they haven't released any of the wild custom vans yet, so this is 3-in-1 in that sense. And then the last kit we're going to talk about in this video, and from round 2, is this, the reissue of the 1960s Chevrolet Custom Fleet Side pickup truck. Now, of course, this, very excitingly to some people, has a newly tooled go-kart included with it. It is basically patterned after the go-kart that came in the Dodge pickup trucks, but it is not the actual tooling from the Dodge pickup trucks. This is modern tooling. It was done by AMT Ertl back in the mid-1990s. I am probably going to pick this kit up as one of the very few round 2 kits that I will buy in any given year, mainly because I've always liked the 1960s pickup trucks, the Chevrolet pickup trucks, I should say, and I never owned one of these. I never bought it back in the day for whatever reason. I don't know if I thought it was an old kit, or maybe as a kid it just didn't strike me as something that I thought was cool, because it would have been a teenager when this came out originally. So yeah, I mean, I'm not going to run out and buy it, but when the spring show stuff comes around in March, it'll probably be something that follows me home from one of our Pittsburgh shows. So guys, that wraps up this video. Hope you enjoyed it. Again, it was a little short video. I expect that things will be much more robust, at least in terms of Japanese kit releases. There are still, with the addition of the 2 new kits that were put on, or 2, well, none of them are new, but you know what I mean. The 2 new kits that were put onto the round 2 slate. Round 2 still has 4 kits to get out this month, and then again, none of the Japanese stuff has come out. So there's 4 kits from Fujimi that need to be released. There are still 7 kits at Hasegawa that need to be released, and there are still looks like 7 kits at Aoshima to be released. So look, I would expect the coming next 2 weeks to be a little more interesting in terms of content. One other thing before we go, it just popped into my mind. Belkits let us know let everybody know, but let us know last week that the first of the Ford Fiesta kits, the brand new 2017, 2018 Ford Fiesta kits, are on the water. It's going to be the Red Bull sponsored car from the Monte Carlo. The next kit, the other one that they're releasing, is supposed to be on a boat in another week or two after that. I believe what they said was that they expected to dock in Belgium sometime around the February 6th, assuming no delays or sinking ships or whatever. So it looks like that'll probably be a late February, early March release in Europe. Getting it here in the United States, with most Bell kits, it's kind of dicey. Ordering through Japan, perhaps get it here faster. I would expect M&S Hobbies will probably carry it. Really, that comes down. When it comes down to it, I think that's probably the most reasonable place to get Bell kit stuff at. Their prices are probably as cheap as anywhere you're going to find it, even when it is carried, in the United States by multiple vendors. I've bought stuff from M&S before. It's MS Hobbies. There's no and on the website, mshobbies.com. But I would assume they'll carry it probably before everybody else, and their prices will probably be better than most anywhere else, other than buying it directly in Europe. And then you have the ridiculous shipping coming back. So it probably evens out in the end. So that is on the water. And then the other thing is the fact that we're coming up rapidly to the Nuremberg Toy Fair. Now, what remains to be seen about the Nuremberg Toy Fair at this point is whether or not it's of any interest at all to automotive builders. Obviously, we've had the kerfuffle with Revell. We've seen what Revell's kit releases for this year, as far as the automotive stuff is going to be. It's 2 new tools and a modified reissue of an American tool. Other than maybe seeing test shots or just parts runners of the new tractor and of the Land Rover Series 3, possibly the AAR CUDA at that point as well. I don't know what there would be really to look at. I mean, Heller will probably be there, but they still have not got the Estafette van out after they said it was going to for sure come out in 2018. Airfix doesn't really do our scale, if you will, automotive kits. They've done a few 132nd things here and there, but for some reason they'll do planes in 124th, but not cars. And then, when you look at, Mang is putting all their money into, right now, a 1/9 scale Kawasaki Ninja motorcycle. There's going to be 2 releases of that. One's going to be electroplated in color, and the other one is going to be carbon fiber decals. The electroplated one is going to be a snap-tight kit. The carbon fiber one is going to be a glue kit. So that remains to be seen how well that's going to, that division is going to go over, how well that's going to sell. The electroplated, and that's their term, not mine. Their electroplated color version snap-tight kit is currently selling for, or pre-ordered for, I should say, for like $76 in China, which, based on the price that Spot Models has it at, looks like it's going to be at least $100. Spot Models is $120, but then we have a really crappy exchange rate with the euro right now. So, $100, close to $100 for a motorcycle kit, when you consider the 112 Tamiya one is like $36. And then this full detail one that's not a snap-tight kit, that's going to have carbon fiber decals for the whole body, basically, I would expect that probably be even more. Maybe. I don't know. They said motorcycle series. There are 2 kits. It's the same exact model of motorcycle. Just one is sort of pre-colored and easy to build. The other one is not and requires, the regular whole modeling thing. But they created a series for it. Like, it's got its own series name and series numbering system. I don't know that there's going to be anyone to buy, more. That's a lot of money to put into a motorcycle. Excuse me, guys. And is there really a market for large scale-ish expensive motorcycles? Because it's not large scale like Tamiya, because Tamiya's large scale motorcycles are 1/6. This is 1/9. It's literally, 1/3 smaller than 1/6, 1/3 bigger than 1/12 scale. I don't know how well that's going to sell, but I'm sure we'll see that, but I really don't care. You guys might, but I personally don't. I don't build motorcycles. And if I was going to build motorcycles, I don't know, I'd take a flying leap off with a $100 motorcycle build. But, you know, what else is there really to look at? I mean, Bell kits, you know, Aoshima may or may not go. I mean, they really, ever since Now left, you know, they haven't had the same international presence because he was their international sales director. You know, they go to the show because Domino, you know, is their distributor in the Europe countries. I'm going to say the UK, but it's well beyond the UK. You know, is their distributor in Europe, but it's not the same as it was. It was like where you're like, oh, Aoshima is going to the Nuremberg Toy Fair. I can't wait to see what leaks out of that. It's not like it was. So the Nuremberg Toy Fair has, you know, for military people, I'm sure it's a thrilling event. For automotive, especially with the fact that, like, you know, Revell is all unified and still a muddled mess at this point of time. Heller is whatever Heller is at this point, and there's really not anything else automotive over there. I mean, ICM, if maybe they'll have something. I doubt it. If they do, it's going to be something weird. I mean, like they've been working those Model Ts to death. It's about time for another 124 scale new tool, maybe, if they can afford it. I don't know. It's just not nearly as to me as it used to be. So, I mean, it seems to be not dying, because that's the complete wrong word for it. Because again, the military side of things is a huge extravaganza of new tooling, because all of those, you know, Meng obviously has all their military stuff, but you know, Dragon and Trumpeter and everybody, Hobby Boss, everybody shows up for that show because it is the trade show. It's not open to the public. You have to either be credentialed in or actually be, you know, working at the trade show to get in the first place. It's not like Shizuoka where it's closed for the first 2 days and then for the last part of the weekend it's open to everybody. So it's a major, you know, focus for those guys, but there's just not any car-based European model companies right now other than Bell kits. And yeah, I mean, don't want to be Debbie Downer, but I'm not really, I really don't care about it. It probably will not be unless some shocking thing happens that we're not aware of. Not going to be its own show or own like video like it has been in the past. Anyway, guys, I am babbling. I wanted to make this a short video. Now I've probably talked for 20 minutes at the end. So anyway, I hope you guys enjoyed it, and we'll see you guys on the other side.